All right, the meeting of the Board of Education is now called to order. Roll call. Geiger.
Present.
Director Meek is running a little late. Moore.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Williams here, and Weiniger is absent this evening. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving into item number 4, the DCSD Spotlight, recognition of DCSD schools celebrating milestone anniversaries.
Okay, thank you so much. So just before we do that, I do want to share with you that at the last board meeting, as you know, we took a moment of silence to reflect on September 11th and the 23rd anniversary of that terrible day. However, I wanted to share with you a video of how our Douglas County School District marching bands all together commemorated 9/11 this year. So we'll watch that video and then we will celebrate our schools. Thank you.
The event tonight is a showcase of all 9 Douglas County High School marching bands. We do this event every year, and it's just kind of like our dress rehearsal to get in front of a friendly crowd before we start our competition season.
Douglas County School District is proud to present in their 2024 showcase performance drum major William Hopkins and the Highlands Ranch High School Falcon Regiment.
Our performance is haunted this year, so a little bit of spooky elements. We got some trees. I'm really excited to perform some of the drum break in the first movement. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Hopefully the visuals will go across well for the crowd.
One really cool part of the band experience is getting to connect with other bands and share that experience and share their own unique experiences and really show off all the hard work that everybody is putting in. And this is a really cool opportunity to do that in, less stressful setting than a competition where we still get to see everybody and we just get to be a part of this awesome band community. Band is so special and marching band is such an awesome part of that. And it's such an amazing experience that changes lives for so many students. Like I wouldn't be here without marching band. It's the reason I have my love for music.
This year, with it falling on the anniversary of 9/11, we decided to do something a little different, and that kind of got the ball rolling with this combined bands idea. The song we chose, it's called Emblems of America. It's actually a medley of Americana tunes.
We've definitely spent a lot of time in rehearsal, just working on it as a group, just making sure it's the best we can get it for the audience and for ourselves as well.
The first group of people that we would like to recognize are all of our first responders. Police officers, firefighters, EMTs, emergency medical personnel. Could you please stand so we can recognize you for your service?
Even though they may not, fully understand the impact of that day, just knowing to treat it with respect and play respectfully so we can, honor everybody that was impacted.
It's really cool that we're able to do this and commemorate that date, even if we weren't around for it. It really shows how people across schools and across the district can come together to honor a day or America. It's really cool to see unity.
Combined bands of Douglas County.
So another congratulations to all of our amazing marching bands all across the district. What a neat event for everyone to be able to come together. So tonight, I have the great privilege of leading a celebration of 3 of our schools that are celebrating really, really important anniversaries. So we are going to start, I think it's fair to say Soaring Hawk is in the house. We are going to start with celebrating 20 years at Soaring Hawk Elementary. And representing Soaring Hawk Elementary, we have Principal Stacy Robinson and Executive Directors of Schools, Aaron McDonald. So if you could both come up here, that would be great. All right, so Stacy, your school is celebrating 20 years. Tell us a little bit about what that means to you and to your amazing staff who are all here celebrating with you.
Well, it means the world to us. I mean, we had a celebration on Thursday with lots of carnival games and people. We had 900 people, and it was also the night of Castleview versus DC, so we still had a good crowd. It's just amazing to reflect on those 20 years. We had our first principal showed up, and some of our first staff were there to tour the building and see all the little changes. And we also still have an original staff member, Miss Alma Salgado, who is one of our original crew, still here. Oh, and Bonnie Apal, yes, Bonnie Apal is still here as well. So, you know, it's amazing that we've been doing this for 20 years, and the memories and the families and the kids that we've had a positive impact on. It's awesome.
Fantastic. Aaron, why don't you tell us a little bit about what it means to you?
Soaring Hawk's just a fantastic community within the school and with the leadership. And I will say, just being at the carnival even on Thursday, it was just a packed house. But just walking through the halls each and every day and seeing the joy that the students have and the appreciation that the staff have at the school. There's so many staff members that have been there for quite a bit of time. And then there's some new staff members. And it's just a great combination to make a great school for the students there at Soaring Hawk.
It's fantastic. For pictures, I would love to have all of you from Soaring Hawk come on up and let's do a picture all together. And Director Moore has a certificate for you. Nice. Yeah. You can take it all the way to the bank. That's right. All right. Oh, come on up, everyone. Yep, she's right there. The lady in green, yeah. Congratulations again, Soaring Hawk, and thank you for coming out tonight. All right. We also have two schools celebrating 35 years, practically ancient, celebrating 35 years of amazing history. And they are Cherokee Trail Elementary and Eagle Ridge Elementary. So I would love to welcome Josh Miller from Cherokee Trail, Principal Doug Humphreys from Eagle Ridge, and Kristen Drury and John Gutierrez, Executive Directors. Come on up. So I was on a feeder Zoom last night where Principal Josh Miller spoke for a few moments, and he mentioned the 35th anniversary in the context of we have needs in our building, but there is so much to celebrate with your 35th anniversary. So Josh, why don't you talk a little bit about what this means to you and your community?
All right, we just have to point out that Doug has been there since before Eagle Ridge was started. In 35 years, he was standing in a field and they built a school around him. Other than that, thank you. Cherokee Trail is a special place. I've been there for 11 years, and just seeing the community turn over and having kids going all the way from Cherokee Trail all the way through Chaparral, it's just been such a great experience. I also want to shout out Soaring Hawk. What a great show of solidarity. Thank you, you guys, for showing up. It means a lot. Stacy's going to give you some extra responsibility pay as well. But just a thank you, we've got a lot of sustainable art projects in our building if you've never been. And so we've got kids coming back from years and years and years and years. They're adults now. We have adults coming back in our building and showing off their artwork and things like that. So if you've never been, you're always welcome. You're always welcome to come in and check it out. But that's a special place. And I may know somebody who may have been there at the beginning of the time who would also like to speak a little bit about some actually teaching at Cherokee Trail.
Yes. Yeah, I know it's shocking to believe, but my career began at Cherokee Trail in 1992. So I think we were year 3, and at that time, Douglas County was rated one of the top 10 places in the nation to work. And I was so proud because it was such a privilege to get a job in Douglas County, right? Like there were stacks of resumes, and we were track system, so I was D track, and it was all multi-age throughout the school. And so that kind of freedom of expression and developing people and the creativity still exists there today, which is very interesting. So it's a special place in my heart. And Josh has continued that, so.
And she's only 32 years old.
Yeah,
Weird, you started when you were 5? That's amazing. Doug, why don't you talk a little bit about the history of Eagle Ridge and what this, and how they built it around you back in the dinosaur age? No, I'm just kidding. Tell us a little bit about the history and why this is so special.
Yeah, we laugh because Eagle Ridge has been around 35 years, and I'm the third principal. So I think it speaks volume to what a family Eagle Ridge is. We have a long line of dedicated staff that have really made a positive difference in the lives of so many kids. My favorite part, not only is the children, but our alumni and our alumni parent continue to come back year after year to visit and check in. They said their heart warms when they see my Jeep sitting in the parking lot that I'm still there. But it's just a great place to be, and I can't speak volumes enough about the staff and how much they really want to make sure that every child learns, grows, and is a difference maker in life. So it's just been a great experience. And I was there when it opened, I'm sure, somewhere along the way.
You bet. Sorry, John. Well, Doug, you've been principal there for 15 years and certainly kept that tradition of excellence there. Fantastic staff, learning community is absolutely wonderful when we think about our kids and our parents. So we sincerely appreciate all that you do, but it's a huge celebration. We had a chance to work together as building principals in the Highlands Ranch feeder, seeing your ascension and your skills and things you've done to help really keep that tradition has been fantastic. So thanks for all that you do and to your staff and students and families, but great celebration for Eagle Ridge.
And President Williams and Director Thompson have your certificates.
Oh, thank you.
She has the, it takes 20 years up. Congratulations again to our schools with anniversaries. Thank you for being here tonight to celebrate with us. And with that, that concludes our public recognitions.
Congrats again. All right, moving on to item number 5, superintendent reports.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent reports for this month. There is a lot coming up in October. I won't have to list them all, but here's a start. It's National Hispanic Heritage Month through October 15th. October is Dyslexia Awareness Month, Bullying Prevention Month, Thank a Principal Month. Thank you to our 3 principals that were here. Family and School Partnership in Education Month. National Custodian Day is October 2nd, when we should celebrate the people who take care of our schools. National Coaches Day is October 6th. We also will be celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day, Polish American Heritage Month, Italian American Heritage Month, Chechen Heritage Month, the National Bus Safety Week, and National School Lunch Week. And finally, the Lights On After School. So we'll be celebrating our base folks. So a lot to celebrate in the month of October. It's packed. This past Friday was our first professional development day of the school year. The Legacy Campus hosted a resource fair for our elementary teachers. I sent the Board of Education some information about that a couple of weeks ago. There were 50 local organizations on hand providing supplementary resources and programs to support our K-6 classroom learning. Our safety and security team hosted an all-day training for our school resource officers and our law enforcement partners, facilitated by the FBI at the auditorium of the Legacy Campus. It is always so amazing to have that opportunity to have all of our school resource officers across jurisdictions in the same room at the same time, and we're incredibly grateful for them. This training is yet another example of the positive and strong partnerships DCSD has with our law enforcement agencies. I apologize to the Board of Education and thank you for your grace that I was not able to be at the last board meeting, but I did leave each of you a book. And that book actually came from one of our school resource officers. Officer Knight is at Castle Rock Middle School with Rue the therapy dog. And Officer Knight and Rue co-authored and published a book titled Rue's First Day in Middle School. And it is so much fun to watch our school resource officers read that book to our kids, and it's just amazing. I feel like the relationships in our district with our school resource officers are so incredible, and we're just amazingly blessed. So congratulations to Rue and Officer Knight for being published. Our schools recognize Constitution Day and Citizenship Day on September 17th. This day commemorates the September 17th, 1787 signing of the U.S. Constitution. Does anyone else have the Schoolhouse Rock song in their head when you think about the U.S. Constitution? Who's with me? We the people. All right, I'll stop. Fun fact, in 2004, Public Law 108-447 was signed into law, requiring schools receiving federal funds to inform and instruct all students on the importance of signing the U.S. Constitution. Yesterday evening, we held our first 2 feeder meetings to talk factually about how additional bond impacting would specifically impact each of our schools. We spoke with staff and families from the Ponderosa and Chaparral feeders. Attendance was amazing. Thank you to everyone who attended. We have plenty of feeder meetings come up. There are 2 more tomorrow. And the rest in the coming days and weeks. I'm really grateful to our principals for taking time out of their evening to join these meetings and talk about their schools. The Board of Education is welcome to dial into any single one of them. I'm not sure I recommend dialing into 9 of them, but anyone. The first parent university of the school year is tomorrow, Wednesday, September 25th at 5:30 p.m. The topic is college funding. We will have guests from the Colorado Department of Higher Education about financial aid options and how to navigate FAFSA and more. We will also hear from DCSD panelists who will talk about the Ascent program. I am told we have well over 400 RSVPs for that particular parent university. So thank you to our staff that is putting that on. Next week, we are hosting kickoff meetings to embark on the next DCSD strategic plan. We want to hear from our staff, students, families, and community members about what DCSD could look like in the year 2035. These meetings will include a very special guest speaker and futurist, Dr. Bill Daggett from Successful Practices Network. It's so important for our community to get involved in shaping the future, our kids' futures, and making sure that our kids are ready to lead the way as they leave our system. We want to make sure that they are prepared for the world and the workforce that they will experience, which many of us today probably can't even imagine. Please join us on October 1st through 3rd. There are many times and meeting choices for this important kickoff of our strategic plan, where we will be imagining 2035 and what it will take to make sure that our kids are out ahead of change and leading the way. This Thursday, September 26th, Sand Creek Elementary is unveiling its new outdoor classroom. This was made possible through Bean and Stock. I think I got it. Bean and Stock Natural Playgrounds 2024 Outclass Outdoor Classroom Giveaway. The new environment will bring endless opportunities to staff and students at Sand Creek Elementary for years to come. I'm almost through them. Colorado Meal Day is taking place on October 1st. This is a day when our Nutrition Services Department celebrates Colorado agriculture by serving a special menu at our neighborhood schools. This year, they will serve delicious French toast casserole bake with sausage for lunch, featuring fresh local ingredients from Aspen Baking Company and Poularderie sausage. Upcoming events: Youth Congress is on Monday, October 7th, so this coming Monday at the DCSD Legacy Campus. Taste of DCSD, hosted by Nutrition Services, will take place Tuesday, October 22nd from 4:30 to 7 at Mountain Vista High School. I highly recommend this event. It's amazing, and thank you so much to our Nutrition Services folks for putting it on. Career Pathways Expo will be hosted by the District Accountability Committee and the Foundation for Douglas County Schools, and that's coming up on Thursday, October 24th, also at the Legacy Campus. Watch for details soon. And then finally, the One Book, One District community event will be on Saturday, October 26th at the DCSD Legacy Campus from 9 to 1. It is a really great family-friendly environment and a great event, so I highly recommend that everyone come out and bring your kids. That concludes tonight's superintendent updates. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 6, the acceptance of agenda. Do I have a motion concerning the acceptance of agenda?
Motion to accept agenda.
Motion by Myers,
Second.
second by Thompson. Geiger?
Here. Oh, excuse me, yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Williams, aye. Passes 5-0. All right, moving into public comment. Tonight, 3 minutes will be allotted for each speaker. Please remain respectful and address the board rather than guests or staff in the room. And also, please keep comments appropriate for a K-12 audience. We will start with students first remotely and then move to in-person. So we have, it looks like a joint statement from Jack Smith, Hunter Mann, and Quinn Williams.
Hello?
Hello, are you there?
I thought he said hello.
I did too. Are you there?
Hello?
Hello, are you there? Are we on mute? Okay, if you can hear us, you can go ahead with your comment.
All right. Hello, Douglas County School Board. In Douglas County, there is a major lack of busing and reliable transportation. There may be bus transportation, but the routes are at inconveniently early times. My personal experience was the bus picking students up a little after 6 o'clock, an hour and a half before school starts at 7:30. This only adds to the challenge of transportation to school. There are a total of 2,400 students alone at Legend High School and very few bus routes. Many students lack transportation to school due to parents getting ready for work or not enough parking spots at the school. Many students at Legend High School lack a parking pass this year, which becomes much more of an issue when there are no available bus routes near them. Transportation is a must for schools as most struggle getting to and from school. In Douglas County, there is a lack of school bus routes causing traffic daily near the school, lack of busing for sports, and lack of student transportation. With more bus routes and drivers, there will be availability for sports teams to have busing instead of chartering a bus. Increasing the amount of bus routes would decrease the commotion and traffic at the school.
Also adding on to that, bus driving is a large responsibility for the driver because they're transporting around 40 to 50 children and or teenagers to and from multiple times a day. A good solution that we brought up for these problems would be to increase the pay and the benefits for all bus drivers, making the job more financially fit to future drivers. And by increasing the bus driver pay, there will be a decrease the amount of students attending Legend High School. Traffic around the schools becomes a big problem for multiple people attending it. The addition of more bus drivers can lead to a decrease in these problems. More bus drivers will also lead to more bus routes and reasonable commute timing. The school spends an unreasonable amount of money on charter buses for school sports, and additional more bus drivers is another salute for athlete transportation. Attendance is also a really big problem for many Legend students, and with more opportunities for school bus routes will likely lead to higher attendance percentage. And when the pay is increased, there will also be more bus drivers and desire to be hired, and more bus routes will be created. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving to our in-person students, we'll start with Eliza Shannon, then Jenna May, and then Brecken Myers. So Eliza Shannon.
Okay, hi, I'm Eliza. And I'm Amanda. We created this together, and we're from Legend High School. Dear Douglas County School Board members, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. We appreciate you allowing us the time to address our problem. The issue we bring to you today is complaints made by students about Douglas County teachers, staff, or school policies. The problem with this subject is that students are not getting notified when problems can be solved or if there is no feasible solution. Students need to be able to stay informed, and this needs to be the responsibility and requirement of the staff member who received the report. One specific example is that I had reported my thoughts on a bathroom closure issue and what I thought could be done about it. While she responded initially, there was no follow-up. The staff member told me it would be brought up in the following administration meeting, but I was not informed if any change to the problem had been made or if the problem couldn't be solved at all. Students deserve the right to have knowledge of the problems and solutions occurring in their school. Our solution would be requirements for communication to students who make reports. If a student has a question for an administrator or teacher, the staff member should be required to respond with truth and detail if appropriate, also in a timely manner. If it is not appropriate, the student needs to be told that they cannot receive further information or the problem cannot be addressed. If the accusation made could seriously impact a staff member's job, deeper investigation should occur. This would be done by meeting with other students who have that teacher, coach, or advisor to ensure the truth is being told. One common example is of students making false reports out of animosity to coaches based on playing time or positions on a team or club. The whole team or group should be met with to address the concerns or issues, if appropriate. An investigation of the complaint would be made to ensure its validity. Staff should be protected from false accusations and that could harm them and their career. If a student makes a false accusation, they should have consequences for the inappropriate actions. These consequences could require apology to the staff member, some manner of detention, or they would not be allowed to make any more reports. This solution would ensure that teachers and students are being protected and notified of information about the reports or suggestions. Thank you so much for your time and consideration on this matter.
Thank you. Jenna May and then Brecken Myers.
Hello, I'm Landon Schaffner,
I'm Jenna May.
and we're from Legend High School. Dear Douglas County School Board members, about 50% of children play some type of sport. Having to balance school and sports can be extremely difficult for most kids, especially when they can't practice and play at times that might be more convenient for them. In Parker, there are multiple sport fields that don't have lights on them. This is then causing kids to have to end night games and practices early. I can speak for all teenage athletes that when I say that being able to play your sport when it is more convenient to you is so much better than having to strictly play at a time when the sun is up. With that being said, we would like to propose the idea of adding lights to sports fields that don't have any. Now, we know that the main concern with this is the money aspect, which we have a couple of ideas for. We could have athletes do youth programs, donation pages, movie nights, raffles, yard work, and most importantly, corporate sponsors. We could also rent out the fields in order to raise money for this idea. This would allow athletes to practice and play at more convenient times with how much time and effort athletes put into this sport and the enthusiasm they bring to the school. The addition of lights to their fields would be a good investment. Thank you for your time.
All right, Brecken Myers.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Brecken Myers, and I'm currently a junior at Legend High School. And the 3 years that I've been attending Legend, I have lost sleep and time because of a major issue that is not only affecting me, the students, and the staff, but is also the people living near the school. This issue is the traffic that occurs every morning. This traffic has caused me and many others to have to leave earlier every morning just to walk into school as the bell is going off. A drive that would normally take 5 minutes can take up to 25 minutes. A major problem this causes is a high number of tardies every day, and in some cases like concurrent enrollment classes, if you have enough tardies or absences, you can fail the class. There are also negative health effects on students, and a study from the Children's Hospital of Orange County shows that the constant need to wake up early causes students to have chronic sleep deprivation, which leads to increased risk of obesity, depression, poor academic performances, substance abuse, and driving accidents. Other problems this traffic causes include more CO2 emissions from idle cars, parents being late to their jobs, and single-lane roads like Canterbury Parkway to get clogged up so even people that aren't going to Legend can't pass. We'd like to propose implementing a toll system for the school parking lots. Our solution would be akin to the Interstate E470 toll system, where a license plate reader would scan the license plate of cars and bill them a fee. This fee would only apply during the busiest time of the morning, which is often around 7:10 to 7:30. This would discourage parents from dropping off their child in the school parking lot and encourage the use of buses and carpools to reduce the traffic. The fee accumulated from the toll can be put towards funding buses to make them free for students and paying the salaries of the bus drivers, making it a more favorable job. There also would be exemptions from this toll, such as students with disability or an injury that would require the student to be dropped off at the front door. Also, students and teachers that have a parking pass would not need to pay this fee to enter the parking lot. This is a relatively inexpensive solution that is a win-win because either it reduces traffic or it gets a lot of money to fund buses. With our solution, we believe that $1 a day can keep the traffic away. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, moving on to general public comment. We will start with our Zoom. And we'll start with Scott, and then Tiffany Baker, and then Jennifer Pinegar. Scott, are you there?
Can you make me the next person? I need to pull over.
Oh, okay. Please do that, yes. Please do. We'll go ahead and go with Tiffany Baker, and we'll go back to Scott.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can, go ahead.
Okay. Colorado House Representative Brandy Bradley from District 39 has aligned herself with Moms for Liberty and the Colorado Parents Advocacy Network, both associated with far-right ideologies that threaten public education. CPAN aims to unite various activist factions, including FAIR, Grandparents for Kids, and Moms for Liberty, to influence school policies. This week, CPAN is circulating a petition to the board and superintendent alleging ideological bias in education and claiming that teachers promote harmful ideologies through initiatives like social emotional learning. This rhetoric misrepresents educators and undermines vital classroom discussions. Bradley's accusations against the Douglas County Board of Education's nonpartisan directors further reveal her contentious approach to educational leadership. Her ongoing protests against the LGBTQ community expose her troubling connections to far-right ideologies. Her ties to CPAN and involvement with the hate group Moms for Liberty suggest a dangerous prioritization of extremist agendas over the diverse needs of students, posing significant risks to public education in Colorado. Additionally, Bradley is campaigning for re-election alongside District 43 candidate Matt Burcham, who has indicated that some of his children attend a private religious school and he supports school choice. This raises concerns about
I'm sorry,
whether
Ms.
he
Baker,
intends
can you
to
stop for just a
legislate
moment?
the use of taxpayer funds. I'm sorry?
Can you stop for just a moment?
Okay.
Actually, I have that same question. I don't know as a board if we've talked about making sure that they're addressing us and not members in the audience.
This is actually relevant to the bond. I'm getting to it.
Okay, well, yeah, we should not be addressing audience members.
Okay, I will leave out their names.
Thank you.
Even though that some of them are elected officials, but I'll leave out their names. Okay. Who has indicated that, okay, so additionally, HD 39's representative is campaigning for re-election alongside District 43's candidate, who has indicated that some of his children attend a private religious school and he supports school choice. This raises concerns about whether he intends to legislate to use the taxpayer funds to support his children's religious education. The Colorado GOP has a candidate in CD4 running for the State Board of Education while promoting Amendment 80, which would promote allocating taxpayer dollars to private education, including religious institutions. Can the Douglas County Board of Education guarantee that no funds from the passage of 5A would be used for improvements to private schools or charter schools outside of the district chartered by the state, such as Ascent Classical Academy, which permits armed volunteers on campus? Local culture war politics have cost our school district hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars in lawsuits and driven talented leaders to early retirement or to neighboring districts. It's crucial that our elected officials do not align themselves with hate groups and instead represent all their constituents. Do not allow the politics of Douglas County GOP or groups like Moms for Liberty to influence voters in supporting improvements for Douglas.
All right, we will move on to Scott and then Jennifer Peiniger. Scott, are you in a safe place?
Yes, I am.
All right, go ahead.
Well, hello, Douglas County School Board. I'd like to start with a moment of silence out of respect for an individual that has been doxxed and targeted by another individual in their capacity as an elected official. Thank you. I'm not anti-government. I'm pro-proper role of government. It is not the proper role of government to be teaching radical gender ideology and queer theory. It is not the proper role of government to be attacking a mother who's exposing the indoctrination of a classroom into queer theory. It is not the proper role of government to be defending a teacher who's engaging in predatory and grooming behaviors. Yes, teaching perverted, unscientific ideas of sex and gender and trying
Point
to
of
hide it
order.
from the child's parents and the public
We're now going to allow speakers to attack our teachers as groomers. Just
It is
double
also
checking.
predatory behavior. The employer of that
Scott,
individual
could you hold on just one moment, please?
grooming behaviors. You guys to defend such activities.
Can we pause him
I
just
listened
for a
to
moment?
Susan, Brad, and Tim's remarks, and it was pathetic. You just
Groomer is an insult. He's referring to a specific teacher in our schools. He is free to criticize me. I don't care.
So
Calling
he-
one of our
he did not
teachers a
use-
groomer.
He did not use a teacher's name, and he is allowed to say that it's his opinion. So he is allowed to say those things. I'm sorry.
please do not violate
Scott, go ahead.
my First Amendment right. Please do not violate my First Amendment right. It is also predatory behavior for you to defend this individual in engaging in those predatory behaviors. I listened to Susan, Brad, and Tim's remarks, and it was pathetic. You decided to go with the radical victim hierarchy of woe is me because someone in a higher rank than I started trying to call for accountability for poor actions. You got this individual's higher rank wrong. Her rank is not mother, or her highest rank is mother. The title of mother supersedes that of state representative and most certainly outranks you, a school board member. So what else are you hiding? Is it possible that this is a ploy from you to use your official capacity as an elected official to bully and create negative press for another individual running for office? Is this a political stunt? That's rhetorical. It's obviously a political stunt, but not as I pointed out. You've reframed and distracted from the core of this issue. This is a cover-up for the fact that Douglas County schools are teaching children, minors, perverted ideas about sex. Douglas County schools are grooming your children, and the Douglas County School Board is not only complicit, but also defending these predatory, pedophilic, and grooming behaviors. I'd say thank you, but there's nothing to thank you for.
All right, thank you. Jennifer Peiniger, Nate Marshall, and then Kathleen Boyer. Jennifer, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can, go ahead.
Okay. I'm the mom of a student and another who will start kindergarten soon in our district. I'm also a psychiatric registered nurse who worked with LGBTQ plus kids in Douglas County for years, students of the district. School board members and fellow parents, we have a bigotry epidemic here in our towns. That was made abundantly clear by the comment I'm following up with, and at the June meeting where parents made comments full of hate speech and baseless fear-mongering. I was horrified to hear the way people were speaking about children and to see the board cave to their antics, refusing to pass Title IX amendments which threatens federal funding for our schools. It's discriminatory and illegal. Now we have members of the board, Christy Williams and Becky Myers, who are aligning with CPAN, CPAN, an umbrella organization that works with hate groups like Moms for Liberty, Fair for All, etc. Moms for Liberty, quote unquote, push book banning, which is what Nazis did in Germany in the 1930s. It's not liberty at all. It's how fascism starts, as is whitewashing history lessons as fair wants. Censorship of facts and erasure of groups of people from lesson plans is not education. It's indoctrination. The cruelty is the point, made obvious by the thinly veiled threats of violence by the representative of HD 39 and leader of the Douglas County Moms for Liberty online to anyone who opposes them. These hate groups aim to segregate our schools to create such a hostile environment that queer students and teachers and people of color leave. Just like Brown versus Board of Education, we will fight it in court if necessary. Every board member has a duty to the children and educators of our district, not just white Christian nationalists. You have a responsibility to protect kids of every race, religion, gender identity, and sexual orientation. If you cannot do that, or you will not do that, you have no business being on the board. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Nate Marshall, Kathleen Boyer, and then Aaron Lee. Nate, are you there? He's not online. Okay. Move on to Kathleen Boyer. Kathleen, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead.
I'm Kathy Boyer. I live in Highlands Ranch. I'm here to point out the obvious, that personal religious beliefs do not belong in public school classrooms. The so-called parental rights is a Trojan horse term used to get Christian nationalism into our schools. I am also a parent with rights, and if their religion belongs in classrooms, then so does mine. My church has social statements on topics including abortion and human sexuality. Among other things, my church supports sex education in schools and availability of contraception because they recognize that prevention of unintended pregnancies reduces the number of abortions. Advocates for greater social responsibility, including quality, affordable health care, childcare, and housing, sufficient income provided by employers, and government assistance for the unemployed. Acknowledges that the way chromosomes and hormones impact gender is complicated and not fully understood. Opposes all forms of harassment based on sexual orientation. Supports legislation and policies to protect civil rights and prohibit discrimination. Calls for support of same-gender couples and their families, and states that the church, in its concern for the neighbor, has a responsibility to be concerned about public health issues. If their religion belongs in the classroom, then so does mine. Christian nationalism is neither Christ-like nor patriotic, and neither are Moms for Liberty.
Thank you. Aaron Lee, and then Holly M. Aaron, are you there?
Hello, my name is Erin Lee. In 2021, my 12-year-old daughter was violated and groomed in a secret gender and sexuality club in the Poudre School District. Scared and confused, I privately went to every level in the chain of command in the district looking for answers. I expected someone, anyone, to also be concerned with what had happened. They brought in outside predators who asked my daughter who she's sexually attracted to and told her parents aren't safe. They told her maybe she'd been born in the wrong body, taught her how to see doctors without my knowledge, even how to get puberty blockers. They gave her toys, and teachers secretly connected with my little girl online with her abusers. But not one person in the school district, admin, nor the board felt any remorse. They were proud of what they'd done. In fact, they involved CPS when I pulled my child out.
The grooming in Pooter started with lessons like the one a Dougco mom has questioned recently. It started with subtle gender fluidity, being repeatedly asked for her pronouns, reading assignments about little boys becoming girls like the book George. The grooming in my daughter's school led her to a deep confusion over her sex, which almost led her to take her own life. I personally watched this kind of grooming destroy hundreds, potentially thousands of kids in the state. It's dangerous. Gender ideology does not belong in schools, and parents have every right to raise a concern about it, especially when it's affected their own child. Me speaking up for my child and other parents questioning gender ideology is not all the buzzwords I've heard here today, Christian nationalism, bigotry, or hate. It's not even political. We're just parents who have genuine concerns about the harms of gender ideology and secrecy. After our nightmare and then being dismissed by our district, I started paying attention to school boards. That's when I learned my school board had been bought and paid for by the teachers union and outside activists like Out Boulder and One Colorado and wealthy national interest groups. So I jumped in and got involved statewide with school board elections. As we watched every board in the entire state fall to 5 times better funded teachers union candidates who don't serve the best interests of taxpayers, one school board sent shockwaves around the state because the people in this community, Dougco, had rallied behind rational, parent-friendly, academic-focused candidates. You all beat out the big interest groups and gave parents around this state like me hope. Hope that we could course correct the downward spiral of education, that maybe parents wouldn't be completely shut out, that our voices could be heard, that maybe teachers could focus less on gender ideology and more on education. Please don't let gender ideology rule your classrooms and harm Dougco kids the way Pooter has,
15
as was the
seconds
case with my
remaining.
family. Please hold the superintendent accountable, hold teachers accountable, focus on academics, and please don't attack concerned parents for standing up for their kids. The whole state is counting on you to be better than that. Thank you.
Thank you. Holly M.
Good evening. I'm going to be speaking about the MLO briefly. Interesting points about the MLO is 40% of district taxpayers do not have children in school. And 30% of the 2024 MLO, which is 147 mil of the 490 mil, is set aside for capital projects. And that leaves 343 million unaccounted for. Mental health services in Douglas County, 662,504 was set aside for special ed and mental health reserves. And those initiatives include school-based mental health services like Aspen Point, Well Power, which is Denver and equity-based company, and Centura Health. As of this report, 10% of children in the district identified as special needs, whereas 13% of the children identified as LGBTQ. These appear to be the two biggest subgroups benefiting from the $662,000 spent on mental health. Local organizations like Easter Seals Colorado and Adams Camp highlight a significant demand for supplementary services for special needs kids as they seek funding externally to support them outside of school district funding, suggesting that the $662,000 allocated for mental health may not all be going towards special needs kids and may instead cover a broader range of services, including but not limited to substance abuse, birth control, and gender-related treatments. There is concern about the lack of transparency in how mental health funds are used and the appropriation of funds to certain cultural subgroups, empowering the trans movement under the guise of mental health. It's also interesting to note that none of the providers testify to the percentage of services they have provided and designate for the suicide-prone trans community, which is surprising given the trans community continues to demand attention and funding based on this sad statistic. In summary, I demand transparency on the allocation of taxpayer dollars. I am critical of DEI and equity policies as this is the established religion for the school district, and not calling it a religion is disingenuous. They have negatively impacted children's development, and cultural tensions have negatively turned. Just as progressives don't support Christians, I don't support my taxpayer funds to furthering DEI policies. I'm horrified about the funding exposure of children to non-educational and inappropriate content, including queer theory and pornographic material, the board has no business allowing this material in the school district. The most concerning issue to me and most normal people is that some
15
teachers who
seconds
we trust with
remaining.
our children are imparting their personal opinions and worldviews, disregarding heritage, diverse cultures, and religions, and empirical truth, not to mention parental authority and rights. If it were up to me, I would willingly support mental health services for the progressive.
All right, moving to our in-person speakers, we have Robert Marshall, Cindy Jensen, and then Matthew Smith. Robert Marshall.
Thank you, board members. I'm Bob Marshall, and I was expecting to be at the Highlands Ranch Metro District today to talk about sewers and then go off to the Legion to drink beer, but here I am. And I would hope that we would be more concerned about talking about the assessments and trying to compare ourselves to Finland, Korea, and Singapore, not the other schools in the state. Or we would be concerned about the VOTEC issues that I'm constantly harping on. But we had fantastic comments from the students on the busing issues. Those were fantastic things that need to be addressed. But we have a lot of people here today that are angry because of a theory. And I don't know when we get to the point where we hate ideas. When I was in 6th grade, I had a teacher that told us Karl Marx was born in Russia. And I was like, well, that's not right. And I brought it to her attention, but nobody got upset. We just had a discussion and fixed it. When my daughter was in middle school, she had a science teacher who told her she wanted to know, why do you sunburn easily at higher altitudes in the mountains? And she said, well, you're closer to the sun. And I told her, well, that's not right. And she said, well, that's what the teacher told me. That's obviously correct. She's a science teacher. I was like, let's work this through and think it through. And we went through and we finally figured out just on our own that, yes, it's the atmosphere that protects you. It's not that you're closer to the sun. And I assume the schools are still teaching that Columbus, during that time, everyone thought the world was flat and you'd fall off the edge of the earth. Educated people, the Greeks knew the world was round. In fact, they figured out the diameter and circumference to a few miles, and they were off because they did a perfect sphere, and the earth isn't a perfect sphere. But they knew, and all educated people at that time knew. Columbus screwed up because he thought the world was far, far smaller, and went off because all the educated people knew. There was no way you could sail east and get to Asia because it was too far, not because you would fall off the earth. But I'm sure this is what we still teach as dogma in the schools, but nobody should get upset about that theory. You should just challenge it if you think it's wrong. So public attacks on teachers, I think, are totally misplaced. I don't fault my colleague for bringing it to the attention of the teacher, and again, having it as a teaching moment for their child to probe it and decide whether the teacher's correct, whether this dogma's correct. Again, it's a great teaching moment because you're going to go through life hearing things that are not correct. And how else are you going to determine that if you don't look at it through your own eyes? So I'm going to leave now, but as just a final aside, I know Director Geiger was trying to, I think, fumble for the right concepts, but in common law, there's 4 types of slander and defamation per se.
15 seconds remaining.
And 2 of them are serious sexual misconduct or a serious crime. Pedophilia and groomers, those are terms that would be defamation per se under the common law. I don't know if Colorado has changed that, but people better be careful of what they say about people who are not public figures.
Thank you. Cindy Jensen, Matthew Smith, and then Eric Brody.
I would like to address comments made by Susan Meeks at the school board meeting here on August 27th. A parent had concerns regarding her child's teacher showing a video about Leonardo da Vinci and then teaching that he was gender fluid and the Mona Lisa painting represented him as a woman. The parent talked to the teacher, who referred her to the district-approved video, but the video did not teach anything about da Vinci being gender fluid or the Mona Lisa representing him as a woman. The teacher lied to this parent. The parent posted her concerns on social media because, and after, she was not being listened to. She admitted sharing a video of her conversation with the teacher and photos of the classroom on social media. She stated she did not realize one photo had identifying information on it and removed it as soon as she realized that. It was not her intention to dox anyone, and she has stated that. At the school board meeting, Susan Meeks shared a long comment that condemned the actions of this parent. However, her account included exaggerations, lies, and misrepresentations. She made several references to this parent's role as an elected official and her gross abuse of her power. This parent was not acting in the capacity of her elected position. She was addressing a concern involving her own child and what the teacher was teaching in the classroom. You refer to this parent's blatant disregard for the safety and well-being of teachers instead of addressing the concerns through proper and respectful channels. This parent did address the teacher with her concerns and was lied to. Sounds to me like it was the teacher that disrespected the parent, who deserved an honest answer. You accused her of engaging in targeted harassment driven by intimidation and malice. I'd like to know how you know what was motivating her concern and why you would think a parent's concern would be driven by anything other than her concern for her child. Parents deserve to have their concerns listened to and addressed, and I wonder how many parents have been intimidated by your bullying behavior and will be hesitant to bring concerns to teachers, staff, or the school board in the future. I would suggest you have harmed the trust and integrity of this school district. And I have not heard one word from this board said about this teacher's inappropriate actions in the classroom or with the parent. Teaching children false perspectives about historical figures is lying to children about history and is inappropriate. Lying to a parent when asked about what is taught is inappropriate. What action has been taken to address the inappropriate behavior of this teacher, both in the classroom and with the parent? I would suggest that this parent is not the one who was inappropriate. I would suggest a school board member who lies publicly, maligns a parent, who falsely accuses a parent of abusing her power simply because that parent is also an elected official, is the one who has been egregiously inappropriate. I would suggest you, Susan Meeks, as someone who carried out a targeted public attack on a parent of a child in this district that you represent.
Matthew Smith, and then Eric Brody, and then Shumay Navarro. Matthew Smith.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can we clear up the doxing thing real quick? Because releasing a name is not doxing. If that is, then you've doxed me 3 times tonight. I'd like to jump into my prepared remarks here. I just hope I don't get sued by a state representative after. I stand before you today as a concerned parent and community member, deeply troubled by ongoing reports of teachers deviating from the approved curriculum and inserting personal views, often controversial ones, into the classrooms. Here we are again. This is not the first time. This has happened several times over the years. The superintendent has assured us that these issues are not happening in the district. And as parents, we really want to believe that. However, time and again, incidents arise that make us question those reassurances. It feels as though we are being misled, and that erodes trust in district leadership. When parents, students, and staff bravely raise concerns about these incidents, the district response often feels like a blind, all-out defense of teachers all-out defense of the teachers involved, disregarding the legitimate worries of the community. This reaction only serves to silence voices and to foster a culture of fear among those who might otherwise come forward. What we need from our board and superintendent is not just reassurances, but accountability. Those who expose these issues deserve our gratitude, not condemnation. It is crucial that we foster an environment where transparency is valued, allowing us to work together to ensure our schools remain places of learning, free from personal agendas. Personally, I am tired of the false assurances and demand action from this board and this district. I want you to hold accountable those who go rogue in their classrooms and any leadership that permits it. Parents should not need to inspect their child's classroom or meet with teachers who are introducing controversial topics beyond the curriculum. That's not our job. That's somebody else's job. I should be meeting with teachers if my son is having a problem learning in his classroom, trying to understand how we can better prepare him for his education. I should not have to go into a classroom and make sure there's not woke content all over the walls. This is not a concern we should have to face, yet here we go again. I ask you tonight that we all commit to upholding the standards we all expect and restore trust between parents, students, and staff. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Eric Brody, Shumay Navarro, and then Catherine Lees.
Good evening, directors. As is clear from the foregoing comments, there's been a lot of animosity in our county around some very potent, divisive issues, and I applaud you for navigating it as you do. I'll start by saying that one can only have compassion for one of the previous speakers, Ms. Lee, for the situation that she encountered, which I think ought to be addressed or ought to be considered in a benevolent light, in a compassionate light, in a serious light. At the same time, I have a lot of concern about a lot of emotive and divisive commentary using terms like gender ideology and woke. One of the parents in our county, previously referred to, posted on social media the comment that gender fluidity, or this is the gist of it, the gender fluidity is a lie, that boys cannot become girls and girls cannot become boys. And startlingly, this parent pointed to the Cass Review in the United Kingdom as support for this contention, which is really quite bizarre because Dr. Hilary Cass, a pediatrician who wrote that review, absolutely was diametrically opposed to what this parent said, what this parent attributed to her and to the Cass Review. I'd like for you, I know that you are doing a great job already, I'd like for you and I'd like for our community to strive to tone down the temperature, tamp it down a little bit, observe each other's legitimate arguments in as accepting a light as one can muster. But also, and this is my personal view, to stand up for the human dignity of members of our community who are often targets of those who don't accept them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shumay Navarro, Catherine Lees, and then Jason Page.
Hi, good evening. My name is Shumay Navarro. I am a mom to 3 kids, and we've been in this district for 4 years now. I'm a Christian conservative mom and a proud member of Moms for Liberty, and I stand here today with many other parents united in our refusal to be silenced or forced into adopting an ideology that goes against our values. We will not tolerate compelled speech or the promotion of false narratives in our school, and we will not stand by our rights as parents are being trampled. It is deeply concerning that some school board members have labeled our group as hateful, bigots, or anti-government. Let me be clear, standing up for our children's innocence does not make us hateful. Refusing to allow pornographic material in school does not make us book banners. It makes us responsible parents protecting our children from inappropriate content that has no place in a classroom. Moms for Liberty has consistently fought to protect all children, advocating for transparency and accountability in education. We are here today because parents across the country, including right here in this district, have exposed disturbing issues in our schools, issues that district leaders have tried to deny or cover up. We have classrooms displaying questionable content that promotes ideologies many of us find concerning, and teachers promoting fallacies about history. My dad is an actual history teacher and calls this historical presentism, where educators try to apply modern judgments to historical events. And I want to make this clear, that as a history teacher, you have to judge history by the participant's point of view, not from our perspective or our cultural bias. Anything other than that lacks understanding of history and the ability to educate properly. As authority figures, it is a major disservice to our students to allow educators to do this without consequence, and to hear the board at the last meeting where you maligned a parent who stood against these fallacies being taught to their child, not against the teacher misusing their authority, which you as the district are accountable for. So do better with that. This is about a larger issue of rogue ideologies being introduced to our curriculum without proper oversight, transparency, or accountability. And we as the parents have a right to know what our children are learning in school, and we should not face retaliation, personal attacks, or be vilified for speaking out and demanding answers. So I ask the board to take a second to filter out the voices of activist adults who don't even have children in the district, advocating for silencing parents, and take a second and remember your first job is to provide the best education for our students, our children. Because it's wild to have politicians here who really have no vested interest in what the district does, as they have no children in this district. Silencing parents and intimidating parents is sick. And if you can't see that political theater that the left is pushing against, I don't know how to help. But I pray that your eyes are open and that you use wisdom and discerning in your decision making, because our children are not political pawns, even if these childless predatory men want to make them that. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Lees, Jason Page, and then Amy Wenju.
Hi, good evening. My name is Kathy Lees. I have 2 graduates from the DCSD, and I'm a longtime volunteer in the district. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. Firstly, I'd like to voice my support for the bond initiative 5A. It is much needed for this district, and I appreciate you putting it on the ballot. For nearly a decade, I've been calling for changes to the parent-student complaint policy, which, as it stands, isn't working. Clearly, complaints are being voiced through this medium, and it's not very helpful. Once again, DCSD is in the news because of issues happening at school level that have potential to lead to lawsuits. First, an article published in 921 Colorado Community Media highlights the toxic leadership environment at Soaring Hawk Elementary. This could have been written 10 years ago about my own local elementary, where toxic leadership caused a nearly 100% staff turnover in 5 years and led many families to leave. Several of us followed the district's chain of command, but the parent complaint process didn't work because leadership was part of the problem. Parents lost confidence in administration, leaving us no choice but to bypass the process and go straight to the board or the media to be heard. Secondly, we recently saw a state representative and a parent use their social media, their legislative social media, to attack a teacher, bypassing the complaint process entirely. Is she a parent? Then follow the complaint process. Is she a legislator? Then she does whatever she does. Instead of following this procedure, starting with the principal and moving up the chain, this individual used their platform to promote damaging narrative under the guise of parents' rights. And we see this repeated again today. If you had a robust parent complaint process that had reporting of what is really happening and not false narratives pushed by national agendas, we could really understand what the problem is. In both cases, the loudest, most powerful voices, essentially bullies, are driving the conversation while teachers, staff, and students are being silenced. This board has a responsibility to protect those voices and create an equitable and parent complaint process, one that ensures all concerns, whether they are about teachers, parents, administrators, are addressed fairly and without fear of retaliation and harassment. We need a robust, transparent process that gives everyone an equal opportunity to be heard, one that holds everyone accountable, including those in power. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Page, Amy Wenju, Brandy Bradley.
Jason Page, Highlands Ranch, Colorado. Good evening, members of the school board and Superintendent Gain. As a former board member of DCSD, I feel compelled to speak tonight about a troubling incident occurring during the last board meeting in August. I'm also a father who has had to make the difficult decision to move my daughter from a public to a private school because of the dysfunction I have witnessed in our public education system. This latest incident only reinforces my concerns. Recently, a parent raised legitimate questions about a claim being made in a world history class that the Mona Lisa was a self-portrait by Leonardo da Vinci, making claims that he was non-binary. Instead of addressing these concerns and reviewing the curriculum, members of this board chose to publicly attack the character of the parent publicly at the last school board meeting. Why is that? Why isn't the focus on ensuring that the material being taught to our children is accurate and in line with historical fact? Let me be very clear. The parent in question did not dox or publicly expose the teacher, yet some of you responded as though they had committed an egregious offense. Instead of fostering an environment where parents and educators can engage in healthy dialogue, you have created a culture of fear. Parents in this community now hesitate to speak up, concerned they will face the same retaliation. This is how we strengthen the parent-teacher-district relationship? I must ask, why should I, as both a parent and a taxpayer, consider voting to give this school district almost $500 million more funding in November when you publicly defame parents for simply questioning what their children are being taught? This is not about shutting down discourse. It is about ensuring that both educators and parents can engage constructively for the betterment of our students. I categorically condemn this behavior, and I personally would love to hear a public apology from those who called out this parent. Our community deserves better, and so do our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Amy Winju, Brandy Bradley, Kelly Mayer.
Hi, good evening. This evening, I'm going to be speaking about the issue at hand, which is the curriculum issue. This was not discussed at the August 27th board meeting. Instead, 4 board directors chose to focus on the medium this parent used to bring attention to a controversial school matter after previous channels were exhausted. Let's remember the issue at hand is regarding curriculum. This teacher was instructing students on a controversial topic without respecting nor making accommodations for this child's religious beliefs and was teaching children what, not how to think. When this topic came up at the board meeting, Geiger, Meek, and Thompson kept looking at their tablets while they spoke, reading from a prepared script indicating they have probably violated Colorado's open meetings law, which states that all blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, Meek knows these Colorado open meeting laws very well, as she gave this as a reason for holding her rogue Zoom call on January 31st, 22. Let's remember this parent, whom Geiger, Meek, Thompson, and more publicly falsely accused of doxing a teacher, is first a mother, a very concerned mother that has previously brought up concerns regarding curriculum by going to teachers, the principal, having discussions with board directors, and even Superintendent Kane. This very concerned mother did not dox DCSD, the school, or the teacher. Various media outlets reported on this, and none of them stated the teacher's name or the school. Let me repeat this. This mother did not dox the teacher or the school. But you know who's doxed this mother? Maybe direct or indirect associates of Geiger and Meek. Yep, they sure have. And while we're on this topic, Geiger has stated on his public DCSD Facebook page that DC GOP is run by anti-government fanatics. Geiger has falsely stated that this mother doxed and attacked a teacher on this DCSD Facebook page. He's also called this mother a fanatic. Geiger has referred to commenters at school board meetings as politically partisan, bigoted folks, and fanatics. He's also used his DCSD Facebook page to discuss meet and greets with Dem candidates. He's also participated in an anti-DCSD rally regarding a parent suing the district. I sure hope the board has removed Geiger from these discussions regarding the lawsuit, given his publicly politically divisive views and incapability to remain neutral. With that, I ask the board to send a formal apology to the parents of this DCSD student for the abhorrent behavior of some board directors.
Kelly Mayer, Tammy Fleming.
Ready? Here to address the lies so brazenly and boldly stated by Meek, Thompson, and Geiger about me, a parent in your district, a month ago. You chose to use your positions of power to spread mistruths about a parent in your district that dared to question false curriculum being taught to her son. An irresponsible educator who told classrooms of impressionable children lies that Da Vinci was gender fluid and that the Mona Lisa was a depiction of him as a woman. And then if that wasn't enough, she lied to me when questioned about the teaching and said it was based on a video approved by the district. And you know how I know that? Because I watched the video, which said nothing about the 2 things that supposedly she said the district approved. Did any of you watch the video to find the truth before condemning me? I would say no. Instead, you use biased opinions to insert yourselves against the parents. And instead of questioning the irresponsibility of a teacher to outright and boldly lie to children in multiple classrooms, you decided to attack a parent in your district on the record, and now you'll face the consequences of those actions. I will not continue to allow adults to lie to children and take them down a path of false narratives, woke ideologies, fake science that at best leads them to gender mutilation and at worst leads them to a 12-fold increase in suicide. If you were truly based in science, you would have discussions with your teachers and counselors on the credible statistical evidence found in the WPATH files and in the CAS report regarding harmful gender transition, which my opponent just blatantly lied about. But you don't want to know the truth and help these children. You can force this fake ideology on your own kids, God help them, but what we will not allow you to do is lie to mine or other people's kids. Lie to their faces, tell them they were born in the wrong body or that they can change their gender. It is hateful, it is harmful, and it is wrong. The other of the many lies that you spread from the dais was that the teacher was harassed, bullied, and doxxed, and you know that wasn't true. When I called one of you and asked what the teacher's name was, you couldn't even tell me. Gaslighting, scare tactics, and cult mentality at its finest, and it will not work on me. 7 million views on my social media posts and not a single mention of the teacher's name on a single post or in any article except from a liberal mom who micro-zoomed on a picture and sent it all to you. And guess what? The name of a public school teacher is not considered doxing, just an FYI since you all use it so liberally. I also asked you to post the receipts of the doxing, bullying, and harassment, and you couldn't even do that. You know why? Because there's no receipts, because it did not happen. Just the lies you continue to spread. And then one of you had the audacity to speak about the dangers of social media while you advocate for hate, venom, and vitriol against a parent in your district. Director Geiger quoted from his social district Facebook account, "The actions this week of a local elected official to dox and attack a teacher on social media are simply despicable. Every parent has the right to talk to their child's teacher, but that is not primarily what happened here. That was mostly political posturing. You can advocate for hate or label parents in your district as part of a hate group when it fits your narrative and then cowardly sit there and talk about the dangers of social media while using your school-issued account. Pathetic. You will not silence me into submission. It will never happen.
Kelly
Never.
Mayer, Tammy Fleming, Greg Francisco.
Good evening, Board Directors and Superintendent Kane. My name is Kelly Mayer. I am a mom of many current and former DCSD students and a longtime resident of Douglas County. I am here tonight to express my unwavering support for our teachers who dedicate themselves to educating and shaping the future for our children. It is essential that we allow them to focus on this primary role, teaching, and not on defending themselves from public harassment or online attacks. In recent weeks, we have seen incidents where teachers have been targeted on social media for doing their jobs. One incident was even a local elected official. This behavior is unacceptable. When a teacher is publicly attacked, not only is their safety put at risk, but the learning environment for our students is disrupted. Our teachers should not have to fear that a simple classroom discussion will lead to personal threats or harassment. Teachers deserve to work in an environment free from intimidation, where they can engage students in meaningful discussions without worrying that their words will be misconstrued or weaponized against them. If we allow this kind of behavior to continue, we risk losing talented educators who might decide that the personal toll of teaching is simply too high. We all want what's best for our children, but that begins with ensuring our teachers are treated with the respect they deserve. I urge the board and community to stand up for our educators and to encourage respectful, direct communication between parents and teachers, instead of allowing social media to become a platform for attacks. I also encourage people to vote yes on the bond initiative 5A, and Moms for Liberty is a hate group. Thank you.
Tammy Fleming, Greg Francisco, and then Amy DeBroni.
Before I start my comment, I would actually like to correct one of the previous speakers who spoke about a public charter school having volunteers, armed volunteers at their school. 100% factually incorrect. So just for the record. So I remember what brought so many of us together when the schools were shut down and Kids First group first ran for election. We were all absolutely passionate about parents having the right to direct their own child's education and removing politics from the classroom. These were two keystone items that Kids First ran on. It's been such a positive improvement all around in the district, thanks to all your hard work to improve academic scores, create happier teachers who are paid more thanks to your efforts, and implement fantastic educational offerings in line with what the community demands of this high-achieving school district. Unfortunately, we still have to keep our eyes open for bad actors in every area of our lives: the entertainment industry, the medical community, and unfortunately, yes, there are even a few activists that disguise themselves as educators to gain access to the impressionable minds of children to push an agenda. The easiest solution for this is to encourage parents to be an active part in their child's education, including daily discussions about what they're being taught, and encourage parental feedback to you as district leaders. We should all be thanking parents who bring forward controversial information that has been taught to children in our district, to expose it for what it is and to take care of it for the future. With activists doxing people at their place of work, showing up at their private meetings, threatening them online, this community has been shown that parents should absolutely fear being vocal about exposing things they are concerned about. We are better than this as a community. Please take the opportunity to use your voice from the dais to change the narrative tonight and tell parents how much you appreciate eyes on the classroom, partnerships with their children's teachers, and them being an active voice in our schools.
Greg Francisco and then Amy DeBrognier.
Good evening. My son is at the same high school that Brandy's is at, and all I can say is this is not a one-off incident. I'm dealing with 2 incidents right now of controversial topics that have been brought into the classroom that were factually incorrect. I have brought this to the teacher's attention, and what I get is an email telling me that I'm wrong and that the Colorado State says, well, it meets the standards for the curriculum. When I can present indisputable facts, how is that even possible? You guys have a policy of controversial topics that must pass certain muster for these topics to be brought into the classroom. So when I can dispute the one rule, which is factually based, how is it that these materials can still be brought into the classroom? And I would say, or I would posit, you have rogue teachers. You do not have control over the teachers. I'm not saying that the teachers' heart's in the wrong place or what have you. The teachers might be a little misguided, but I, as a parent, when it comes to controversial subjects, I might not have a problem with it, but shouldn't I be informed of what that subject might be? And what I'm saying is the checks and balances that you guys think that you guys have in place, they're not working, which is why we are here. Will you please figure out a way to bring the teachers into a room or something to say, listen, these are the rules. You teach controversial topics. It must meet these board standards. And then allow the parents to know what the heck's coming in. Because I don't have time. I don't even want to be here tonight. And I know you guys don't want to hear it. The one thing is either just keep the controversial topics out or have your teachers follow the rules that you guys set.
All right, Amy DeBrognier.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Amy DeBrognier, and I'm here on behalf of Douglas County Kids Identified with Dyslexia, also known as DC Kid. We are a group of educators, parents, and community members advocating for students with literacy challenges in DCSD. Did you know that October is Dyslexia Awareness Month, and that dyslexia affects 5 to 20% of the global population? It's neurobiological brain difference impacting reading, spelling, and writing, and occurs on a spectrum from mild to severe. It has no connection to intelligence. For example, reportedly over 50% of NASA employees have dyslexia. Dyslexia is the most prevalent learning disability and the leading cause of reading difficulties and school dropouts. Reading challenges are a common factor among juvenile justice offenders. Struggling readers are 3 times more likely to consider or commit suicide. Since 2018, we've partnered with DCSD leadership and schools to advocate for dyslexia awareness and scientifically based literacy instruction, offering simulations and professional development to administration, teachers, and staff at no cost. To date, approximately 1,750 DCSD educators and community members have participated in our simulations. Here's some of the feedback we received. Every teacher needs this class. I want my whole school to do this. I'm relieved to finally understand what my dyslexic students go through. Today was eye-opening. The simulations were powerful, and I can't wait to share this with my colleagues. In honor of Dyslexia Awareness Month, we invite you, the Board of Education, to participate in a 60-minute or so dyslexia simulation, as your previous board members have done. This experience will allow you to walk in the shoes of the approximately 7,500 DCSD students with dyslexia, whether diagnosed or not. We'll gladly schedule it at your convenience anywhere in the district. We hope you'll take this opportunity to deepen your understanding and compassion for our students with dyslexia, and help us to continue our work in funding the appropriate professional development, curriculum choices, and mental health initiatives that will support our vulnerable students.
15 seconds remaining.
Thank you. All right. That concludes public comment. Moving on to the adoption of consent agenda, item number 8. Do I have a motion concerning agenda items 9 through 19?
Move to approve.
Okay, motion by Moore.
Second.
Second by Myers. Geiger?
Yes.
Meek not here. Moore?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Williams, aye. Passes 5-0. And then now moving on to the adoption of joint motion agenda, the approval of minutes. The recommendation is that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the regular meetings held on both August 27th and September 10th. Do I have a motion to approve the meetings as listed?
Motion to approve meetings as listed.
Motion by Myers,
Second.
second by Thompson. Geiger?
Aye.
Moore?
Yes.
Myers?
Aye.
Thompson?
Yes.
Williams, aye. Passes 5-0. Now moving on to our study action items for our state assessment data overview.
Good evening, Board. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present this evening. You have 2 items that are interrelated tonight. The first one is providing an overview of our state assessment data from this last spring. That data largely drives some of the processes that we put in place for our Unified Improvement Plan, which I'll present secondly. So just as a summary and an overview, the Colorado assessment system has a variety of different metrics that are at play. And those are the subjects and the grade levels that are applicable to. You can see that ELA math is covered grades 3 through 11, and science is covered on 5, 8, and 11. So an overview of our 2024 CMAS results. This graph presents a comparison between ourselves, the state, and it also overlays participation. Participation is something that we started monitoring a few years ago when parent excusals became something that was codified in law. We track this as part of our processes to see, one, that we do it correctly, to make sure that we document all of our parent excusals. And second, we look at the percentage of students that do participate. The federal threshold is 95%, and so if we get far away from 95%, you can draw fewer conclusions about the data. You can see as our students get older, we do see a drop in participation, specifically at middle school, and I'll touch on that in just a minute. This is our math proficiency. Again, the green bar is Douglas County, the red one is our state. We see a similar trend both in terms of the achievement and also in terms of participation for both ELA and for math in terms of the age and participation rates. This is a graph that shows our performance over time. This is looking at the average scale score. The average scale score is what determines our performance on the district performance framework. And you can see, starting in 2019 to now, we have this nice stair stepper going from left to right, which means as we move from left to right and going through the years, our students are increasing performance, not just their mean scale score as this graph depicts, but also the proficiency levels. I've also overlaid the 4 subgroup categories that are part of our district performance framework: free and reduced lunch, minority, multilingual learners, and students with disabilities. You can see that they also have this stepward trajectory going from low to high. They're climbing the stairs just as all students. What's really interesting is to look at the slope. The slope between all students and the students within these subpopulations, that also is an indicator to see are those students reaching and catching up to the overall student population. And you can see that that slope, for example, our minority students, the slope of that line between 19 and 24 is steeper than our all students. Even though both groups are gaining, that particular group is gaining quicker, which is what we like to see. This is math. We see a similar trend between left and right. You're climbing stairs as you go from left to right. And also those same identified groups that are part of the district performance framework are also listed across the bottom. Again, we like climbing stairs. We like climbing very large stairs. And so we monitor this year over year. And it's nice to have this trend going from a 5-year trend that we're increasing our scores. Another thing that we do pay attention to, we are competitive. We do like to see how we compare to our neighbors and those that we can compare ourselves with for staffing, for funding, and those types of things. You can see language arts and math with a green bar. We like our position with the English language arts, but we would like to increase our performance with math to get us in that top position. This is the participation graph that goes back several years to 2019. Looking at our trends over 5 years is something that we do monitor. As you can see, as you go down the chart from grades 3 to grades 8, you can see that participation does go down. That is something that we're cognizant of. It's something our schools are cognizant of, that we want to make our best effort to try to encourage our parents to allow their students to participate. That's something that we have conversations. It's harder and harder to draw firm conclusions from data when you get further and further away from that 95% participation rate. This is our science performance. The achievement rates for our students in grades 3, 5, and 8. You can see it's the same green and red performance, but I wanted to overlay our participation on this one as well, especially in grades 11. Currently, we have only 1 in 5 students participating in that assessment. Pretty difficult for us to draw firm conclusions away from that. Something that we're cognizant of. That is something that, as we interpret that data, we do interpret it with the lens of that low participation rate. In terms of growth, this is a snapshot of the Colorado growth model. That red line in the middle is what state expectations are. Anytime you're above that line is good. General rule of thumb here, green is good. You want to be above that 50%. And it's really, really difficult for large systems to be above that 50% because you tend to regress to that middle number. Generally speaking, across all grade levels, we are green, with the exception of 8. That is something that we're very, very conscientious of, and that's going to be a focus of our work, is the growth in terms of our middle school. They have a wonderful problem to have. These last couple of years, I've come to you and shared data with our elementaries who have increased their proficiencies over time. Those students are matriculating through our system and now are arriving in our middle schools with increased proficiencies. So we have to address that at our middle schools to increase the rigor of what's happening there to correspond to what students are entering their system. So this is something that we're very, very cognizant of, and we're having conversations with our leaders regarding that. This is the same graph, only this is overlaying math. Again, green is good. When we have yellow, we have questions. And so we're going to be dedicating some time at our middle schools to certainly address the issue. Now turning our attention to high schools. High school, last year, we are a College Board state. We have a contract with College Board to administer the grades 9, 10, and 11 version of their suite of assessments. That's a state contract. This is something that we have been doing for several years. However, this year is different. This is the first year that we administered the online version of this assessment, along with other changes. It went from a 3-hour paper-based assessment to a 2-hour online version. This is something that we have been preparing for the last several years, doing some testing, but this was the first time that all of our students took that exam. Here is our mean scale score and participation overlaid on one another. You can see in the previous example of CMAS, we saw that decline in participation. Once they get into high school, that participation rate goes back up again. So students become more engaged in their assessments. And also, we continue to have good performance on these assessments. This has been an interesting year, though, which is why we have asterisks on all of those. Anytime that you launch the first year of an online assessment, you can experience changes in performance. It happened to us last time with CMAS and in other assessments that we've introduced. Students, it's a new experience for them. And so it's been very interesting, not only us, but also the state and the country in terms of what happened with that assessment. This is looking at our performance over time, looking at PSAT 9, 10, and 11. And also I've overlaid the participation. Participation is not where we want it to be. We would like to have more participation from our students. Love it to be back to a 90 to 95%. That gets us closer to that threshold where we can draw firm conclusions. We're hoping that continue to advertise to our parents and to our students. This is a viable option for them to test. That's something that we want to have an impact on as well. This is our trend data over time, looking at PSAT 8, 9, 10, and 11. This is our 3 grade levels. You can see that we have some variations between our point values. And the scale is different from grade level to grade level. It actually shifts. So the content of the assessment for PSAT 8, 9 is more aligned to 9th grade. And as they add 10th grade, they move the scale along with that new content. So, you know, we can see the total point values are going up, which is what we expect because the overall scale is shifting as well. So that's always nice to see continued growth from one year to the next. Again, this is an overlay of the school performance framework data. We would love to be able to see a similar form that we saw from elementary to middle with this assessment as well. We expected to see a drop in performance with the online assessment. It's something that College Board actually was projecting out. It's brand new to students, and it's a different assessment that's adapting to their responses. It's a different experience. And so they have done some work at the state level to dive into this data. They've established new cut scores for the district performance framework, and most recently, they changed the cut score specifically for math. Math seemed to have the biggest impact on this move to online. So for us, it's really looking at this year as a brand new baseline for student performance on this particular assessment due to the fact that it's a different assessment, it's online, and it adapts to students. They take that first round, it readjusts itself based on how they respond. So we expect something similar to what happened with CMAS, where you introduce that online assessment, the students will respond in kind. This is our comparative data. Again, this is looking at our neighbors. We like to be number one. So we want to make that green bar as high as we can possibly make it. So it's something that we're keenly aware of and sharing this information. Math, again, was the most impacted regarding being online. Graduation competence. This is something that was passed by Colorado several years ago that we had to introduce this idea that students must show competence in order to graduate. One of those avenues is through the SAT. So we do monitor the percentage of students that demonstrate competency using the SAT. I have two sets of bars on 2024. The first bar shows the original cut score that has been with us historically. Well, most recently, the State Board of Education has shifted that based on the student data. They actually looked at the students' actual data and modeled a new cut score to model and mirror previous data sets. So that's why we went from 49 to 56, because they saw state and nationwide a decrease in performance, and so they made their adjustment. This adjustment is temporary. It's a 2-year adjustment for now, but we're going to be monitoring this not only this year, but in future years as well. As always, we do like to be competitive. So the preliminary performance frameworks are out. I will come back to you when they are final. That typically happens first round in November, second round in December, and I will share the final number in terms of where we're comparing with our neighbors. Again, the preliminary performance framework really is a culmination of all the data in the previous slides, along with some other indicators. We want to be at the top of this list, and not only that, but we want to cross that dashed red line to get us to distinction. Green is good, but blue is a whole lot better, and so we want to get to that other line. Some key takeaways. A few of these I've already mentioned. CMAS, ELA, and math, as you saw from those previous slides at the very beginning, we continue to see improved performance, we absolutely love it. We also like the fact that we see that improved performance across the subgroups that are identified in the performance framework. In addition to that, we like to see the slope of that improvement to be steeper than our overall. Those are all things that we love to see. It's great. Things that we see that are not so great are participation. We know that participation is having an impact. And a prime example of that is CMAS science at the high school level. When only 1 in 5 kids are taking that test, it's really hard for us to draw conclusions from that. 8th grade is also something that we've got a concern with. We want to continue to partner with our parents to talk about how valuable that data is for us. The general rule of thumb in Douglas County, the more students you can take a test, the better our performance is. Because we have really, really great students, we have great staffs, and we have great parents and communities. The administration of the first digital PSAT had an impact on us. We were not immune to that. It hit the nation, it hit the state, and it hit us. We were not as impacted as other systems, but we did see an impact on our performance, specifically in math, which is why the State Board of Education made an adjustment to their cut score. Now, student subgroup performance, while it is improving, and it's improving at a rapid rate in comparison to overall students, it's not where we want it to be. And so that's something that we're going to put even more efforts in talking about not only best first instruction, universal approaches to providing the best instruction, but also how do we target those students and provide intervention as necessary, regardless if they're identified in one of these subgroups or not. But we want to pay close attention to how these subgroups perform because they're a microcosm of the macro system. All right, I'm going to take a breath and take any questions that you all may have.
Thank you. Just 2 quick questions from me. One, do our numbers include charters and their
Yes.
CMAS scores? Okay. And then number 2, how are we encouraging participation?
Great question. Really, the encouragement that we're trying to do is really inform them of their rights. It's totally their right to be able to excuse their child, but we also need to speak about the value of the data. That data is valuable to us for many reasons. One is that data helps us inform our programs. It gives us a snapshot, a place and point in time to show how we perform in relation to the benchmark of the standards, and it gives us comparative data between our schools and outside of our district. The second thing is that data informs how people view our system. Parents look at that data set, and when we don't have all students participating in that test, we know it impacts. Especially when you get a really low number that's further and further away from that 95%. Because you may have those kids in the room taking the test, but we know their engagement level may not be very high.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. Just to add to his answer regarding participation, there is a state law that you cannot you cannot encourage kids to participate with things like, well, we all call it the pizza party law, because you cannot say, hey, if everyone takes the CMAS test, we'll have a pizza party for you. Incentives like that are specifically not allowed under state law, and it is one of the things that the State Accountability Task Force has addressed, because it definitely impacts performance when students are self-selecting or families are self-selecting out of the test, so it isn't even a statistical sampling. And so that piece is really challenging for us, and hopefully on the horizon there may be some changes to that. The other thing I just wanted to point out for our public more than for you all is when you're seeing things like, 68% of kids are reading on grade level. One of the other things the State Accountability Task Force addressed is that we are taking a test in April or March that is assessing whether kids have met the end of year line. So kids have 2 full months of instruction left to get from that 68 to the 98 or 100 where we want to be. So it's just very misleading to look at CMAS scores and say, oh, 68% of kids in Douglas County can read. That's terrible. It's 2 months before the end of the year, so you're testing the benchmark early. So I just wanted to be sure to say those 2 things, and they are being addressed at the state level. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Moore?
Matt, regarding the SAT participation, do you think one variable there is the kind of really major growth in career technical education programs and a lot? It seems to me from where I sit, a larger and growing number of kids are choosing different route beside college, and so some may not see the value in, why do I take the SAT if I intend to go into welding or EMT or some other career path? And I just wonder if that has a piece to something that you can't actually, you can't solve that issue maybe.
I see Assistant Superintendent Windsor ready to jump in.
Director Moore, that's a great question. I think one of the things we have had to try to navigate has been a age-long question around its career or college. And I think the component we're navigating is the and part instead of or. I think the big part for us is how do we continue to make sure our students have as many options as possible and are as ready as possible to be able to explore any pathway they want. And I think sometimes, to the exact point that you make, I think a lot of times folks think students who may be going into welding, that's the only path they're going. We're actually finding a number of our students who are doing welding and robotics are actually becoming mechanical engineers and doing different components. So I think for us is how do we continue to educate our families around these pathways available for kids, because the students we're really trying to make sure they're having multiple options. And so that idea of SAT is for all of our kids to have that option for them. I think before it was you're either going to do ASVAB if you're going this route or you're going to go this route for SAT, and I think a big component for us is actually educating our families much earlier in middle school around things like PSAT, options, pathways, et cetera, so they are aware and can continue to have those options. So really the more we can continue to provide the and conversation to that rather than the or. I don't think it's necessarily having that direct correlation around scores. I think the online testing was definitely an impact that I think our schools absolutely felt. I think as we look at that over a period of time, we're going to continue to track those that are matriculating off into workforce into 2-year and 4-year and see if we can see some trend data.
Another key issue here is our higher education partners. We have seen that pendulum move where, it used to be that all of them required an entrance exam. Then they swung this direction and required fewer. Now they're coming back to requiring it yet again. That impacts our participation directly because those students are more likely to do it if they know it's a requirement for higher education. So we continue to monitor what our higher education partners do.
Director Myers.
Thank you. Really good information. In light of some of our negativity tonight, one thing that I can say is, as one board member, I believe we have some very dedicated parents that have their kids in the testing. They encourage them in education, and at the same time, we have an astounding educators that our scores are good because of our educators that are actually, that are teaching our kids. And I just remember, and I wanted to ask you, do you remember, because I kind of remember back years ago in middle school when that trend started to not participate, became kind of a popular move. Do you have any idea when this kind of started that, and that kids, well, you don't need to participate?
Yeah, that started around 2015 when that law first came into play. We are certainly not at the levels that we were in 2015 and 16. We have made significant inroads with helping our parents understand the importance of these assessments for us, for their children, and for our teachers. So we're nowhere near where we were in 2015 and 16.
Director Thompson?
Thank you for the presentation. It was very helpful, easy to understand and follow along with you. Kudos to our staff, from leadership down to the teachers in our classrooms. I hope that everybody is giving themselves a round of applause seeing this preliminary data. I do just have a couple questions. The first was just kind of actually jump off the earlier question. Do we see a difference in participation rates between charters and neighborhood schools, or are they similar?
So we do see slight variations with participation, but the one thing that is holding steady is the idea of, regardless of whatever school, as they increase in age, the participation goes down.
I was just wondering if there's something that could be learned from, if we're seeing certain schools with higher participation rates, like what is successful about that?
Yes,
depending on where
and
it's
we
at.
actually have both neighborhood and charter schools that have higher participation. And so there are best practices that we're gleaning from those in terms of having those conversations with parents and sending out newsletters. When people do excuse their child, is reaching out to them and explaining the benefits of the assessment, both for their child and for us as a system. So yeah, we do gather that information. We share it with other principals to say, here's some strategies that you may want to use within your parent population.
Okay, so we reach out after an opt-out?
Yeah, that's something that we encourage our principals to do, because sometimes, from a data standpoint, we want to know why. Is it test anxiety? Is it, information that they're seeing on Facebook or another source? Are there other reasons why they want to excuse? And that's important for us to know. But also, it's our opportunity to be able to talk about the importance of that information for us.
Awesome. And I guess my last, it wasn't a question, it was just a comment, just to thank Danny on his response about the and. I think that's really helpful to hear it. Students, you might have an interest one way, but it's nice to know that you have backup plans regardless what direction you think you might go. And so I appreciate that comment and that viewpoint from leadership.
Director Geiger?
Thank you very much. A comment, as I've often said, this district does a superior job educating the vast majority of our kids, and we're working to do it for everybody, and I appreciate that concern. I wanted to ask a couple things about, obviously, higher participation gives us better data. On some of our more challenged groups, do we see a reduced participation, or participation rates pretty consistent across our multi-level, our multilingual learners, our minority students, and our free and reduced lunch populations?
Yeah, it varies based on the test and by level on how much variance we do see. But there is variance with some populations in terms of taking the test. So that's something that we've always asking questions about is, what's the reason why a certain population would be lower on one grade and then they rebound at another grade in terms of their participation, but there are variances.
But we don't see it as a consistent across the years that our free and reduced lunch population has more trouble participating?
They're actually a great example. Free and reduced lunch students, well, they changed the way that they were qualified this last year. And so we saw an increase, as a state, we saw an increase of those students that were qualifying for free and reduced lunch. So you introduce more students into this category because they're being automatically applied through Medicaid. It made us think a little bit different on how we interpret that data. And so their participation rate changed as a result of this qualification. And so we do see that variability with some of those student populations in terms of how they participate.
Okay. And if you had a chance or those numbers come up, I would be fascinated to see how those vary. You talked about working across schools in our district about which ones are getting good participation rates and which ones aren't, and learning from them. One of the only areas where we trail other districts is in participation in 7 and 8. I assume you also communicate with other districts about what their best practices are?
Yeah, we connect with them as well to find out what's the secret sauce in order to get middle school students to participate. And, that's where some of the ideas have come from, of reaching out to parents, doing campaigns, working with school accountability groups, PTOs, to be able to put those promotions out there to say, hey, would you please participate in this exam? Being able to show and make our data visible is something that's very, very helpful. When people see the data and they see it, especially on our first few slides where we've had this concerted effort to increase literacy and numeracy, the positive that we get out of seeing increases of scores, that helps us with promoting the idea of participating in these assessments.
And again, in a similar area, are there other districts both in the state and even across the country that we are learning from in terms of closing the gap on some of our identified populations? Again, most of our kids are doing great. The vast majority of our kids are doing great. Are we learning from other states about how to increase our stair step in those fields?
Yeah, where there's a rock to overturn to have that conversation, we are doing so. And looking at it specifically in certain areas, I know College Board, that suite of assessments, we leverage quite a bit. They have a lot of resources, and we send people to their conferences about how to make the whole suite of assessments at College Board more accessible. We also have the benefit of others reaching out to us. I just had a conversation 2 weeks ago about, a district reaching out, a curriculum person who's their chief academic officer, asking us questions, and we can trade ideas just how to address it. We are unique in that Colorado does allow parent opt-outs. That's something that's pretty unique to us. And so we do have conversations about not just participation, but also engagement. We don't want them just sitting in the seat. We want them firmly engaged in that assessment. And so a lot of our conversations are, how do you get them engaged? And walk that line. We don't want to violate the pizza party law for sure, but how do we celebrate the data that we have, which is always a fun thing to do.
Mr. Reynolds, could you go to slide number 5 really quick? So while there is always work to do, I hope that it's clear from this data that incredible progress is being made, and especially the question about, are we asking other districts in other states about best practices? Always. That's why I spend time in other states interacting with superintendents and school leaders from other states to make sure that we are incorporating best practices. But that being said, our gains in achievement in our free and reduced lunch, minority, multilingual, and students with IEPs exceed that of most other school districts in this state. It might be all, but I think Durango is up there with us. But in terms of our acceleration of our students in these populations, I'm just really proud of our teachers for all the work they're doing around each individual child, because we are making tremendous progress, and you can also see from the differential that we have a tremendous way to go. But I just wanted to make sure to point that out. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Superintendent. My last question is to deal with a myth that I have run into on certain social medias, is that there are particular principals who discourage challenged students from taking tests in order to increase their school's overall scores. I assume that's something we track and do not find.
So in terms of participation, and I'll let Assistant Superintendent Windsor chime in as well. So from our purposes, the benefit of having those subgroups perform and participate outweighs the benefit of not having them participate. Because in the state of Colorado, we have two metrics. One is achievement and the other is growth. And our state actually values growth more than achievement. So it's to our benefit to have every one of all of our students participate in the test, specifically from the groups that are identified in the school performance framework. It's a conversation that we have with our principals, and it's something that we key in on to say, it's a 2-page system here. The first page is achievement, but that second page, which is 60% of how our performance frameworks are built, is based on growth.
Thank you for the question. Fundamentally, if you see a passion that jumps out in this is when we walk into schools, we're here to educate every kid that walks in our building, period. Scores or not, it's not necessarily about any benefit to the building around the scores. It's about educating that student to achieve their best potential and beyond. And I think that is the fundamental belief of every leader. I think it will absolutely never even cross a principal's mind to ever not consider about how we can support that student. It's another data point that can help us kind of tell the picture of the different experiences. But I can tell you fundamentally, we absolutely believe that all leaders believe that piece, otherwise they will not be in their role.
And of course, it's not a myth I share, but I'm on social media perhaps too much. And it exists, even in our district. And I don't know how we go about continuing to fight that myth other than refer to it as bluntly ridiculous.
And it's continuing to have that conversation, right? It's sometimes the power of conversation can override what's happening online.
All right, thank you.
All right, that'll lead me to my next presentation, which is great. It's now that we have the data, what are we going to do to respond to that data? So for the past several months, we've been working with the District Accountability Committee and other departments in our schools to develop our Unified Improvement Plan. It's a very short timeline. We get the data back from the state starting in late June, early July, and it goes all the way through till the end of August. We get our data, we analyze our data, and we have to start making decisions about changing our action steps in our Unified Improvement Plan. Our plan, like everyone in the state, is due October 15th. So it doesn't give us a whole lot of time to jump in there, but our District Accountability Committee jumped right in. You can see what their responsibility is. Their responsibility is to advise concerning the preparation and submit a recommendation regarding the contents of the plan, which I'm here to present tonight. Here's the timeline. It's very, very short. We really start that process in earnest in October or in August to go through October. From the middle of August, when we start getting firm data sets from the state to truly tell us where we are as an organization, we have a preliminary release of the performance framework, which you all had access to via memo. And then we convene several times with the District Accountability Committee. And one specific meeting is just a work session where we dive into the data for several hours. They are troopers. They hang with me for several hours as we dive through all the data. Plan considerations, these are certainly some of the considerations that we have to take into account when we're developing the plan. That's something that we dive into and look at. A few things that I do want to point out, you all approve new ends, so we will have to incorporate those in our future version of our plan. We also look at superintendent goals. As she leads our organization, we look at how these goals could be incorporated into our Unified Improvement Plan. But then we also have to respond to state changes, which is always something that comes up every year. Some key changes for this year is we did get science data included in our performance framework. This is the first time with a new set of standards. So again, that is a new assessment as well. That's something that has been designed around the new standards. And of course, we've already talked about the transition to the PSAT and SAT digital version. So from a large picture, we really have 4 major improvement strategies to really anchor ourselves on in terms of the development of the plan. First is to continue to implement and align instruction to Colorado academic standards. Each couple of years on a cycle that's determined by the state, we get new standards in our system, and we have to respond in kind. Each time they introduce a new set of standards, it's not just introducing the new standards, but it's also a potential assessment that goes with it. So for example, if they decide in this upcoming session that they want to change math standards, then that assessment that assesses those math standards also has to change. So we have to respond in kind when that happens. The next is really the alignment of our universal target intensive instruction. Making sure that we provide students with best first instruction, and then all of the supports needed to address when students aren't accessing best first instruction, or if they're exceeding that and we need to do some enhancements. The other is to implement an IMTSS. We love acronyms. That's an integrated multi-tiered system of supports. Really, it's the idea that we provide supports for students across these domains to make sure that our students are at their best, which is what we want. The last thing that we introduced this year is a fourth. This is a new one. We noticed in our data that the graduation rates for our multilingual learners is not where we want it to be, specifically that group. That's a group that the graduation does fluctuate over time, and we want to take this as an opportunity to really implement some strategies, which I'm going to talk about here in just a minute. Some of the action steps that we have talked about in this room. We are still implementing core programs at our elementary level. This is year 3. It's a 5-year implementation plan. And each and every year that we get into this system, we do 2 things. One, we bring in new folks who have to learn the program for the very first time. And for those that are with us, we have to take their depth of knowledge in that program to the next level. So one of the key focuses of this year is really looking at not just the evidence-based instruction routines that are in the program, but specifically those things that support writing. We know writing is a very difficult thing because it really demonstrates all that you know about English language arts, but that's really something that's a focus within those programs. Second, talking about middle schools, we are introducing a core program at ELA in our middle schools that's aligned to the core program that's happening in our elementaries. Again, the idea that these students are coming out of elementary at increased levels of proficiencies, we've got to give resource to our middle schools to respond to that and provide them that same level of rigor at middle schools. The other thing that we're doing is looking at numeracy, math. Math is something that's a passion area of mine for sure. And when we look at the data, we know we have to get better at math. So we're really diving into math and looking at what are our resources that we're providing our teachers? What professional development are we providing our teachers? And diving and investigating that. Math is not math is not math. The students in our system now, their math performance has not gone down because their proficiency levels have gone down. Their performance has gone down because the standards have gotten harder. It's no longer just about providing the right answer. You have to provide your reasoning and you have to model, you have to critique the reason of others, and you have to do a significant amount of writing, which is why we focused on literacy first, because if you can't have students write first, there's no way they're going to be able to demonstrate their math knowledge. Some other things that are coming up in terms of supports for our system. We continue to provide supports for our schools regarding having them take the data and actually implement it, analyzing their state data, looking at best practice and implementing strategies that work. We're in a very good spot because green is good. Most of our schools are in that green category. So it's about finding those little things to tweak what we're doing in order to improve performance. The other thing that I wanted to point out is professional learning communities, PLCs. We've mentioned that quite a bit in here. We continue to support that structure in our schools and look for ways to make those structures even more efficient. The idea of being able to bring our professionals around a table to talk about student work is an opportunity that we'll take every day of the week. Professional learning opportunities, I won't read through all of these, but there's one I really want to spend some time on. That's the last one, which is family, school, community partnerships. Our data is not done in a vacuum. You need all 3 of those things in order for us to get the data that we continue to get. To have partnerships with our families and our staff and our community, that is something that we're going to continue to dive in deeper, which is a strategy that you're going to see specifically around multilingual learners, is being able to reach out to multilingual learners to make sure that they have the supports that they need in our schools and provide avenues to give them more support if it's needed. So from a staff recommendation, our recommendation is that the staff at the Board of Education adopt our Unified Improvement Plan as drafted. The District Accountability Committee had a conversation with this last week, and they also are submitting a recommendation that the board adopt the plan as drafted. With that, I'm going to stop and take any questions that you may have.
So thank you. That's a big lift. So much appreciated. I just wanted to let the other board directors know that at the end of August, the DAC met just specifically solely to talk about this topic. So they didn't talk about anything else. This was their sole agenda item. I unfortunately was unable to be there, but I was at Thursday night's District Accountability Committee where they voted on this, and it was unanimous. There were no concerns moving forward. So anybody have any questions? Director Geiger?
This is my first UIP, so I'm trying to figure some things out. But first, really basic question. If somebody is identified as a multi-language learner in elementary school, do they remain that throughout, or at some point do they just become a student who speaks a bunch of languages?
That's a great question. There is a whole identification process that we do for students who are multilingual learners. And yes, they do exit, and there's different levels. There's LEP, NEP, all the acronyms that go with it. So there is an opportunity once they get to a certain point that they are exited, but we do track them even after they've exited as part of our monitoring.
Okay. And so if we're having a graduation concern, I don't want to say issue, concern with our multi-language learners, is it generally, do we know how long those students have been in our system? Is it perhaps that we have multi-language learners coming in later into our system? Or is that something we need to start tracking, or would that be helpful?
So our multilingual learner population is as diverse as our general population. So you could have students that enter our program as kindergartners or even preschool that are multilingual learners, or you could have some that enter our system as a senior. We provide services to all of them and dive into, how best to support these students as we go through. So our conversation, although it's really centered on that graduation, the fact that we have a full department of folks that look at that data and look at it from a PK-12 perspective to find out what's the best ways for us to support students and partner with parents in order to help them understand what are our graduation requirements, what are some things that we can do at a school to support students who are meeting our requirements.
How do we provide professional learning opportunities? I like the base. I assume we provide some within the schools. Do we also help fund teachers seeking out other professional learning opportunities? How does that work?
Yeah, we have a flavor of pretty much everything that you can think of. We do what's called embedded staff development, which is, we bring staff directly into their school and provide professional development while they're in their school. We also have designated professional development days where there's no students in school and we have an opportunity to provide professional development that way. We also have teachers that go to a variety of different professional development opportunities. Some are pursuing higher degrees and they're taking coursework after hours. We offer things that are online, self-paced, a little bit of everything in terms of what's being offered out there.
Okay. And is there any cooperation? We don't recognize the Douglas County Federation as a bargaining unit, but is there any cooperation with the teachers union in terms of their professional learning opportunities?
Yeah, we have a variety of different groups that we do collaborate with. They are one of them. When there's professional learning opportunities for our teachers, we don't discriminate in that case. We advertise when there's opportunities, whether it's our higher education partners, whether it's the union, we advertise those, or a vendor for that matter. If they provide professional learning opportunities, then we advertise.
Okay. I'm still absorbing this. I may have some other questions for you by email, but thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, so do we have a motion concerning the Unified Improvement Plan?
Move to adopt the Unified Learning Plan as written. Improvement plan.
Motion by Geiger,
Second.
second by Thompson. Geiger?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Myers?
Aye.
Thompson?
Aye.
Williams, aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And before I step away, I do want to say thank you to our District Accountability Committee for their work. They were deeply involved in examining the data. They tolerate my 2-hour session where we examine the data. They were very thoughtful in the questions that they provided and the feedback that they provided along the way. And I just appreciate their efforts in getting this put forth to you all.
Great. Thank you so much, and I concur. So we will now move to item 28, which is recess. We will come back at 7:25. All right, the meeting of the board is back in session. Moving on to item number 24, the board budget review. And as the treasurer, I'm going to hand this over to Director Thompson to kind of cover and facilitate.
No, thank you. So this is kind of our first time looking at the budget as a board, other than the review of the, our policy and being in alignment with that 1.9. So I guess for today, it's just really, is this work for our board budget review? Is this sufficient? Are there additional questions that we have? Is there additional information that I should be bringing that you guys think would be helpful? And then also if you have any questions.
I guess my only question is, do you have any concerns or anything with how we're progressing through the budget?
No concerns.
Okay.
No, I think this is helpful. And then, of course, we have a monthly schedule with getting updates. So I have the most recent, it was actually sent to me, and I can forward that to everyone else, but it's very similar to what we're seeing here. I think a couple categories are just broken out a little bit more. But if this level of detail is good, there's no additional questions. And I know that we have a couple board members not here, so I can get their feedback in email.
Yeah, this is super helpful. Thank you. Director Moore?
I always want to say thanks. I think it's a perfect level of detail for us to kind of track as we go throughout the year, how things are changing, to see where we're close to the budget or under or what have you. The only question I had was about election fees and what made up election fees, and I happened to be here early and I asked and got that answer, so that was helpful to know that was all related to what's required to be paid by the clerk and recorder's office. But other than that, I had no questions, and I appreciate it.
Director Geiger?
I would simply agree that this is exactly what I was hoping to see. And of course, knowing that if we have further questions, that we're available for more detail. But this is what I want to know. I assume that that we're going to spend, I assume we'll see come next quarter that we'll have spent that $337,000. When do we have to pay the clerk and recorder for our election fees? Do we know? I assume someone knows.
I am sure CFO Schleisner knows, if she's here.
She is, I can see
that. I can't see that direction.
I have a better angle.
Hi, good evening. So elections, of course, November 5th, the certification, so everyone has to certify their elections by November 27th. And then we get a bill sometime in December. They bill us for the number that they sent out to all of their voters, and they detailed out for us. So we can get that detail for you when we get it, but that's our best estimate of what that will look like. So we'll see it sometime in December.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, and thank you to staff for helping put the table together in a way that is very useful and helpful. I think especially having the columns for variance is helpful. And if we're good?
Yeah, no, I think it looks great. Thank you so much.
Nice and easy. And of course, transparency to the public about how the board is spending its budget, I think is always helpful.
Yeah, great. Okay, thank you. Moving then right along into item 25, which is policy JICJ and JICJR, student use of district information technology, our second reading.
Good evening, directors. My part's going to be really brief. And what you'll have in front of you for JICJ and then JICJR are the sum totals of the proposed changes to those policies. So the red line were proposed changes that we prepared in preparation for the first reading, and we talked about those. The highlighted portion, yellow highlighted portion, are the proposed changes that we made in light of the board's recommendation or thoughts that were given to us. So along those lines, JICJ The only changes that were made from first reading to this reading are that highlighted portion where we added ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. There was requests from the board to add additional platforms, really easy to do. I don't believe there's anything else there. If you could go, scroll down there, CTO Blair, please. Yeah, and then otherwise just the revised date, that's all. And then I gave you a key down here in case you needed it. So that's JICJ. Moving to JICJR. Sorry, are there any questions on JICJ?
Director Thompson.
Simple one, not actually on the policy as it's written. Just since using AI, and this is new for us as a district, are we thinking about just revisiting these policies after they passed? Were they sufficient? Were there additional considerations or things we learned? Like, is it planned out on a calendar?
Sorry, absolutely. What we've talked about from the beginning is doing this initial cut at changes that made sense. And by give or take March or April of next calendar year, we'll have more data to where we may be able to propose more policy changes and or guidelines.
Thank you.
Sure.
Great.
Sorry, JICJR, again, red line is first reading, highlight is second. So we actually added for number 6. I know there was a question or a concern about passwords, so we added the language of using the passwords of other users without permission. So we just want to make that explicit, what was implicit at minimum. Other than that, we just add the revised date. That's it.
Thank you for the reflected changes.
Sure.
Does anybody have anything? Okay, so do I have a motion?
Move to adopt JICJ and JICJR as written and amended.
Motion by Geiger.
Second?
Second by Myers. Geiger.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Williams, aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you so much. All right, moving on then to the Board of Education reports. The first item is just the bond outreach reflection. And I just got word that HRMD has gotten unanimous support tonight for the bond election. So they passed a resolution to support the bond. So that's great.
Do you mind sharing what the acronym is for anybody who might not know? and is
Oh,
listening?
Highlands Ranch Metro District. Yes, so that was great news. I just received that. So does anybody have any reflections over the last couple weeks? I know that they're getting ready to start canvassing and that sort of thing. So Director Thompson?
No, just getting updates about when canvassing is going to happen. I'm looking forward to going out and walking with our families and community members and painting cars. If you want your car painted, I love painting cars. I don't know why, but I really enjoy it. So just looking forward to the efforts and getting to go out and actually work with the community to do something really helpful for our district.
Great. Director Geiger?
I agree, although my handwriting does not allow me to paint cars or touch anything that has writing on it. I do know that the bond committee is reaching out to directors to host canvassing and go to canvassing events. And I know that that outreach is going on. I do believe that without using district resources, the board is an important influence. And I do appreciate all of the board members that are working so hard to continue to do that.
I have no new updates.
You good? All right. No, just, do you have anything about the bond? Okay, great. All right, so moving on then to president reports. Our next Board of Education meeting will be October the 8th. Agenda planning, I usually have this written down, is this Thursday, I believe at 2:30 p.m., and that's at the Legacy campus. So that will be held then. Over the last couple weeks, I had the DAC meeting on Thursday night where they approved the Unified Improvement Plan, which we've already discussed. And then we are hoping to firm up our bylaws so that we can be, hopefully, fingers crossed, ready by the October 8th meeting. And that is where we are. So Director Weiniger's not here, so I'll start with you, Director Geiger.
I'm continuing to meet with the elementary school principals in my district, primarily to discuss, one, the bond, and two, the growth and decline issues. I don't want to summarize that yet until I've got 2 more next week, and that will finish up all of my meetings with principals. I will continue to reiterate that we have just brilliant people running our schools, very thoughtful, getting very interesting and good feedback on, particularly as they ask questions about the details of how growth and decline and the consolidation of schools might work. And they're very honest about the concerns they're getting both from their staff and from their parents. And I've, of course, also talked to them about their general satisfaction with how the North Planning Area Committee is working to help address those. As a matter of fact, they've all universally told me they feel like they're getting the information that exists. They would like to know vastly more, and part of my job is to go on and tell them, it's not that you don't know, it's that we don't know, but we're gonna figure it out. And assuring them that the board is not done in April, that we are just starting, that the work on how to do this continues the 25-26 school session, that I firmly believe that all 7 of us will be involved in continuing to work on that. We're not gonna make a vote in April and then be done. And I've assured them that that's my position, and I've assured them that I believe that's the entire committee's board of directors position. The other thing is, and I just wanted to point it out, one of the cool things you get to do when you're on one of these boards is you get invited to various galas. It was gala season. But one, I was invited to the Youth Celebrate Diversity Gala, which is a student group that operates in Denver and other districts that, as it says, celebrates diversity. The speakers were fascinating. The keynote speaker was a young woman who was indigenous activist. She works at Stanford, worked in her high school in Albuquerque, is a big social media user, and is very influential. It happened to be that her family grew up in the same general area as my family, and so we knew some of the same people. It was fascinating. I got to talk to her mother. One of the ones that it was a privilege to be with and next to and to just to shake her hands was Carlotta Walls-Lanier, who at 14 was one of the Little Rock Nine and was able to talk about being escorted into her high school by the National Guard as one of the first integrated schools. And she is a Denver resident, has worked tirelessly for education her entire life. We do not have a chapter of Youth Celebrate Diversity in Douglas County. I'm happy to run into a couple volunteers who are also members of our education committee, or a community, and perhaps they'll be looking into that. So it was a fascinating night, met a lot of other educators from other districts. So again, these are the kind of cool things we get to do when we sit on this board. There aren't a lot of perks. And of course, the galas are also fundraising endeavors, so there is that. But it was, that was a really great night, and I enjoyed it very much.
Director Moore.
Real briefly, Superintendent Kane talked about the virtual feeder community meetings that are occurring, and I'm going to attend one later this week and one next week. I think it'll be really helpful for my, participation on LRPC to hear some of that feedback. And I know Director Geiger's getting that firsthand one-on-one in a lot of his school visits, but I just see that as a real valuable opportunity to hear firsthand from folks and from the schools directly what their concerns are. And other than that, I don't have anything else to offer since the last meeting, but that's what we have coming up before we meet again.
Director Myers.
I had a DCCF meeting last week, and most of it was talking about the highlights of the Hero Gala, which Director Thompson and I attended, along with Superintendent Kane and her husband, and Allison Roush. And we were pretty privileged to have some guests at our table. And let's see, Rue was there. So, and then Buttercup, but Buttercup must have not thought it was very interesting because she slept most of the night. But I do believe she's retiring this year. And so she was already in retirement mode, but it was just a great celebration of the heroes in our community. And I wanted to give a shout out to Thunder Ridge High School, Rachel Rance. This is the second year in a row with her Pro Start group that she has sent kids to help with this event. And they are just phenomenal. And I hear nothing but good things about how they are able to step in and do the job without being told much. And that just gives a shout out to Rachel about what she's teaching those kids at Thunder Ridge High School. Friday night, I attended the Rock Canyon High School homecoming versus Grandview with my daughter, 3 grandchildren, and a friend, and we sat in the kids section. Won't say about that, that's a different viewpoint to watch the game. Brought back high school memories. Wow. But anyway, it was a great game and it was fun. Last night, Director Meek and I had our SAG meeting. Superintendent Kane talked about the bond with them towards the end. And they're quite an intelligent group and they asked some pretty good questions. We're pretty excited because it's looking a little bit different this year. And we see some engagement that we hope will continue throughout the whole year with their subgroups and what they've chosen, with their talking to us and looking at policy, and it's a board committee, so it's just a great group of kids. Let's see. So we're really looking forward to a new year. Monday, October the 7th is our Youth Congress, and it is definite that it's at the Legacy this year. So I would really like to invite, especially board members, to stop in. It's, I'm sorry, 9:30 to 3:30. So just stop in and see the kids at work. And we already have quite a few kids that have signed up. And so I'm really hoping, since it is at Legacy, we'll even get more kids that day. So anybody can come, walk in, listen in on.
That's which day?
Monday, October the 7th.
Thank you.
So at Legacy. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. At 9:30 to 3:30? Okay, Director Thompson.
Thank you. I will second that. Attending Youth Congress is a very rewarding experience as a person sitting in the audience getting to listen to students. It's fantastic. So I highly recommend going if you're able to go. All right, so I attended the FOC meeting with Director Weiniger. The majority of the meeting was actually spent talking about the growth and decline. We had a presentation and then a conversation around it. A lot of really great questions. I actually owe you guys a board update. I collected a lot of the questions that they asked, and I think that was just really helpful to hear, like, what are the questions that are coming up? I think I shared them when I attended the DAC in that update. It's always fun to listen to the different committees and how their perspectives and the questions that they ask, because they're all a little bit different, because they're coming from a different lens. And so, really great questions. I would say they're questions, not concerns. And then we also did a financial update, a bond status update, really understanding the language and the amount. They did the fourth quarter financials review, talked about school carryover. And one of the main takeaways is that I perceived was that the FOC is really looking forward to contributing to the growth and decline conversation from a fiscal oversight perspective. And then just to build on Director Meyer's comments about the HERO event, it was quite the event. I want to acknowledge our first responders and our veterans in our community. It was really nice to see them all be recognized in the way that they were recognized. And then also the fact that it was such a successful fundraiser to help a really great cause, really help our community. So I think that's fantastic. I really enjoyed the experience. And I think that's it for me.
All right. Well, then, moving on to item number 30, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Moore,
Second.
second by Geiger. Geiger,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Myers.
Aye.
Thompson.
Aye.
Williams, aye. Passes 5-0. The Board of Education is now adjourned.